Hello, everybody. Today I'd like to talk about one of those odd little bits of the history of the London Underground that I came across in the course of researching something else that I think is kind of interesting. Did you know that the Central Line used to deliver parcels? The Central London Railway opened in 1900 and, in its early days, ran from Shepherd's Bush through the West End to Bank. It served many important locations: Oxford Street, Bond Street, the General Post Office, Chancery Lane, and, of course, Bank, in the very heart of the City of London. No other railway company could boast such a catchment area, not even the other underground lines. But that had come at a price. Literally. Stations in such prestige locations weren't cheap, and so the Central London Railway were always looking for ways to make a bit of extra cash. And so they hit upon the idea of delivering parcels. These days, sending anything other than people by underground sounds weird, but in the early years of the underground, well, the first half-century or so in fact, it was perfectly normal. The first underground railway, the Metropolitan, extended out into Middlesex and Buckinghamshire and ran goods trains as well as passenger trains. They even built a class of locomotive, the K-class, specifically to haul heavy freight. The District Railway had carried newspapers through central London. They'd also had a short-lived experiment in carrying boxes of fish for Billingsgate Market. And I'm sure you've figured out what the downside of carrying fish in a crowded railway carriage might be. Given that the trains were steam-hauled back then, I'm surprised they didn't consider a platform-level smokehouse for herrings and mackerel. In the 1860s, the London Pneumatic Dispatch Company constructed a number of pneumatically powered underground lines for freight, post and parcels, but they were plagued by technical difficulties and went out of business in 1875. And the Central London Railway thought, us too. I mean to the delivering parcels thing, not the going out of business thing. What you need to remember about central London back then is that it was as congested as it is today, arguably more so. The CLR could avoid all that with their trains that ran right under London. And so in 1911 they introduced what they called the Lightning Parcels service. They described it as the quickest and cheapest parcel service in London. The service was headquartered at, appropriately enough, Post Office Station. Post Office is now St Paul's, but it was called Post Office because the General Post Office headquarters was there. There was a St Paul's station, but it was the main line station that's now called Blackfriars. To make things even more confusing, the District Line station attached to St Paul's actually was called Blackfriars. None of this is particularly relevant, it's just a bit of confusing trivia to keep you on your toes. Anyway, the way the parcel service operated was that a bunch of lads on tricycles would come around and pick your parcels up. Then they'd take them to the nearest CLR station. They'd be transferred into a big basket, the parcels, not the lads, and wheeled down to platform level. Now this was before escalators were widespread on the underground, so they'd have gone down by lift. But I still can't imagine it was easy to get the baskets to platform level. Step-free access was not a thing back then. The CLR had 4 trains that were modified to include a parcels compartment. In there, the parcels would be sorted to their correct destinations. Given how short the distance between stations was, I do wonder whether they ever discovered too late that a parcel had overshot its destination. Once the train reached its destination, the parcel would be offloaded, taken back up to the surface, and another lad with a tricycle would convey it to the intended address. One thing I'm not clear on is how you let the CLR know that you had a parcel to be delivered. I guess you telegraphed them? But nothing I've read indicates that. It's little touches like this that let you know that I'm not a real historian. Apparently the service was fairly successful, if not hugely so. I suspect this poster is somewhat liberal with the truth. I can't imagine the street outside Oxford Circus ever being that empty. Well, unless this idea for pedestrianisation goes ahead. Note the humorous dog nearly getting run over. The CLR like to include humour in their adverts, I guess because they like to present themselves as a service for everyone, so they aimed for broad appeal. Oxford Circus Station today looks a little different from the way it's portrayed here, and its users are considerably worse dressed. Apparently the service could be booked from any station, so I dare say that if you had to convey a parcel from, say, Ealing Broadway to Liverpool Street, the Lightning Parcels service represented a substantial saving in time. Those destinations might be bad examples. At the time this poster was printed in 1911, the extensions to Ealing and Liverpool Streets were still under construction. But you know what I mean. The service only lasted a few years. During the First World War, the kind of fit young man who can lug parcels around and pedal through the streets of London at high speed was in demand on the front lines. The Underground in general suffered from a staff shortage at this time. In 1915, the first all-female staffed tube station opened at Maida Vale on the Bakerloo line, something that would have been unthinkable a couple of years prior. But the Lightning Parcels service was proving difficult to maintain. While it did turn a profit, the CLR seemed to have seen it, in a very real sense, as being more trouble than it was worth. So the parcel service was wrapped up in 1917. The trains would be returned to their original condition. I don't know what happened to the baskets. Maybe they were woven into a giant wicker man or something. This wouldn't be the last time post would be conveyed by tube. 10 years later, in 1927, the Post Office Underground Railway opened. This was a line exclusively for post and ran between Paddington and Whitechapel. It was a great success for quite some time and lasted until 2003, when it was replaced by lorries. Part of it is now open to the public and is a must for anyone who loves an abandoned railway, which I'm guessing is approximately 100% of the people watching this video. As for the London Underground proper, as the 20th century went on, the emphasis moved to purely transporting passengers. In 1933, the Central London Railway and every other underground line, apart from the Waterloo and City, would be bundled into London Transport. There would be no more parcels, and indeed, apart from engineering trains, there would soon be no goods of any sort transported on the Underground, other than what the passengers could carry themselves. And that, as they say, is a wrap. Well, I do hope you enjoyed this lightning-fast tale from the tube. If so, please do leave a like and consider subscribing for more. I would like as ever to thank my donors on Ko-fi, on Patreon, and here on YouTube for your generous support. You are the tricycle to my urgent parcel. And I will see you all again very soon. Cheerio.